Hey, hey, it's your friendly neighborhood marketing and communications specialist, podcast production company CEO, and voice in your ear, Erin Trafford. Welcome to the Narrative Advantage podcast. And today I have had a stroke of insight because I was a little blocked on what we were going to talk about on the show this week. And then I decided, oh, that's right. We committed to building in public. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to actually walk you step by step. This might take a couple episodes through my planning for 2026 for my consultancy. And one of the big shifts I'm making is I'm going to start using my email list more intentionally and very differently. And I'm going to blend it with the podcast. I'm going to blend it with what's going on the YouTube. I'm going to blend it with LinkedIn. If maybe you're not on LinkedIn, you could probably do this with Instagram. But my whole plan today is to share my plan with you. How I build it, the nuts and bolts, how I'm using AI to make it go faster. This is going to be a get your pencil out kind of episode. And I want you to hear the gears turning in my head and how I've come to these conclusions. So this is going to sound a little different than other episodes, and I think that's okay because I've committed to sharing with you the actual side of me that is the engine of what you typically would see. So this is a behind the scenes of my brain. Settle in. And if you're watching this on YouTube, get ready because I'm about to do a screen share so you can see all the things. Welcome in. Let's dive in. Okay, so where was I when I sat down this morning? It is a rainy Monday morning where I am, and I knew that I had today to sit down to work on content, to work on outreach, to do all of the things that I like to do. I set aside Monday to do that very thing all the time. Except today, I found myself in avoidance mode. I was, had an extra sip of coffee. I grabbed an extra muffin. I sat upstairs and I doom scrolled on my phone on the couch for a little bit, even after the kids left. And there are other days when as soon as the kids leave for school, I'm like, yes. And I run down to work and I sit down at my desk and I start moving. And today I didn't feel that. And I thought, oh man, there's a block. There is a block. And so I thought, okay, wait a minute. What is it that I actually want to do? What has been percolating in my brain that maybe I haven't really let land? And one thing that's been really bothering me this year is my email list. I have not at all shown up for that list the way that I need to. And I have a tiny list. It's like really not that big because I went through a lot of shifts when I let my old business go. And I had a lot of folks drop right off because I wasn't talking about the same things. And that's totally fine. But then I went through this weird phase where I was also growing Story Studio Network, and we've talked about this. And so then what happened is I got really unclear on, okay, wait a minute. Does my list want to hear about podcasting and, media theory? Or do they want to hear about me and what I think about media theory? Or do they want to know how to start a podcast? Like I was a hot mess. I was like a dog's breakfast on that email list. So I tested out a bunch of stuff and then more people dropped off and then some new people came on, but the new people who came on weren't really the people who I now want to talk to anyway. So point being, I got kind of like, I don't know what to do about this list. Okay. And anytime I feel like that, I know that that is an invitation to start fresh. And I am a Sagittarius and I am a 2-4 hermit in human design. So there's a bit of tension there for me where I'd rather not. I'd rather people just like understand and me not have to explain anything ever. But at the same time, the Sagittarius in me loves doing things I've never done before. Even though I say that I'm scared out of my brains, which I still am, there is a part of me that if I am not doing things I've never done before, I am like a small part of me dies inside. That's just how I am. So I sat down this morning and I was like, ugh, what am I going to do? Do I have to just like go to my list? Because I've got this big Notion board that has a whole bunch of ideas, and it's like how to build a a multi 6-figure business and the 5 steps I took. And there's like all these just like crappy ideas that, came out of ChatGPT, and they sound like listicles. And I'm like, I could talk about that, but it's not going to light up my soul. It's not going to light up my freaking soul to give you 6 ways to build a 6-figure business, because there's like 8 million bajillion ways to build a 6-figure business. It doesn't make me happy to give you that. So I sit down and I'm like, what am I going to do? I have this list that I am embarrassed about. Let's just call it what it is. I am freaking embarrassed about the list. And as a result, I'm not showing up. It's like where you're kind of like, oh my God, I walked into a room and I said something super awkward. It's like when, you're at the grocery store and the clerk is like, have a nice day. And you're like, I love you too. Like super awkward. And then you like can't stop thinking about it. It's like that. You're like, what am I going to do? Oh my God. You're like, whoa. Okay. So I've decided I'm going to make it a priority. To me, it means it needs some love. But here's the other thing that I also know about myself, and you may know this about yourself too, is that every single stinking time I tell myself, oh, I'm going to write an email a week. No, I don't. I write 3 and then I don't. So why do I keep lying to myself? Why do I keep putting myself through that? It's absolute bullshit. I will not send an email a week. I have tried for 5 years. I will not do that. Again, I think it's because it's the Sagittarius in me. I like structure, but I do not like, like mundanity. I cannot live in the mundane. And to me, sending an email a week every Tuesday morning at 8:04 a.m. is so damn boring and predictable that it doesn't match who I am. And that's just how I am. And I know you're like, whoa, Erin, how can you be a communication strategist and yet you are absolutely poo-pooing like everything everybody says about consistency? Here's what I want you to know. Here's the myth bust for you, is that consistency does not mean sending a damn email on the same day at the same time every single week until you die. Consistency means energy. Consistency means you are committed to something with an energy that stays consistent. It is not about the calendar, okay? It is not. At least it's not for me. So, knowing this, I am embarrassed AF about what's going on with my list, okay? I will not send an email a week to save my life. Okay, so we know this. I am so damn over Instagram, and I know many of you have found me through the years of Instagram because it is probably my longest standing social media platform. And for those of you who also know, like 2 years ago, I had over 10,000 followers, and now I have like 2,000, maybe 3,000 followers. But it's because I cut 7,000 people off of my Instagram because it made me so uncomfortable to be seen on that platform. And that is a me thing. That is not a you thing. But ever since I did that, I have felt increasingly uncomfortable on that platform for a multitude of reasons that we won't get into today because it actually has no bearing on anything. But where I have started to feel more comfortable and feel more seen and feel able to push my edge is on LinkedIn. And we've talked about that before. If you are listening to this and you want to adapt what I'm saying to you, no, you can take whatever freaking platform you want. I'm not telling you how to run a platform. I'm giving you the energy behind the strategy. Okay. So we know these things. I dislike Instagram for a marketing thing. I don't think my ideal client is on Instagram anymore for my communications consultancy. Okay. I think that there are folks on Instagram who I would love to bring into Vessel with me for, more somatic work and like masterminding and things like that. Coaching, but I don't think for my main meat and potatoes business that Instagram is where right now where my ICP lives. I think it's on LinkedIn, and I think it's on YouTube, and I think it's on this podcast. So there we go. So here's what we know. I will not send an email a week. I'm embarrassed about my email list. I do not like Instagram as the core of my distribution strategy. How do we fix this? And how do I sit down and plan? So because it's pouring rain, I will not go venture out into the weather to go to Staples to buy a giant calendar. But if I had one, I would be standing up doing this at a calendar. So FYI, you're listening to this on the podcast. I'm going to do a whiteboard episode on the YouTube channel where I'm going to use my whiteboard and we're going to map this out, like literally with markers and pens and sticky notes. So watch for that and subscribe to the YouTube channel for sure, because I am not duplicating content. What you get on the podcast is not what you get on the YouTube channel and vice versa. So that's just so you know that. What I will do now is look at the next 3 to 6 months. Now, when I plan with clients, we plan 3 months at a time, but the truth is it's still not enough time to really look long-term. So you should be looking at about 6 months, give or take. And the reason I say that is not because I want you to sit there and pound out 6 months worth of content. It's because 6 months is long enough for you to identify patterns and behavior in your ICP. 3 months is not long enough. 6 months, you start to be like, people take vacation during this time, or there is a major holiday that falls in here. Usually you have 1 or 2. So you can really start to see your windows of opportunity to communicate better when you're looking at it through a 6-month lens than when you're looking at it through a 3-month lens. So look at 6 months and then plan 3 months. Okay, that's just a little tip for you. 12 months, way too long unless you are a massive company. You should be planning 12 months out because you're doing media buying, you're doing ad placements, you're setting budgets and all of those things. But if you are like smaller than, a $3 million company, 6 months is fine. So what I will do is I'm going to look at 6 months, and we're in November now. So I'm going to build this over the next 6 weeks between now and the end of the year. So I'm going to look at like January to June, okay, give or take, of next year. And I'm going to kind of look at like, where do I want to take a break? Where do I want to push the envelope? Where am I going to be available to take on more clients? I have determined that I would love to bring in a new client in January, in March, and then in May, because I don't really have capacity to take on a lot of new clients right now. I am a solo operator on the consultancy side. And then on this production side, we have a small team. So we're not looking for volume. We're looking for fit, which is also critical. Ask yourself at this point, do I need volume? Do I need volume of client, or do I need fit of client? That will change how you talk to them, right? That's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about how I'm getting to this plan. So then the next thing I'm thinking is, okay, cool. I know that that's what I want. I want a client, 3 more clients through the first couple quarters of the year, keep the clients I have, and then I'll be tickety-boo. Awesome. What do I do about this email list? I'm still avoiding talking about this email list, aren't I? I'm super avoiding it. Well, if I'm not going to write weekly, what if I wrote in depth, almost like an ebook? Remember back in the day when ebooks were like the rage? And I picked 5 or 6 really critical thought leadership pillars that I could stand on. And I wrote it as an email series, like a series, like when you open up the newspaper, or way back when, Tiger Beat used to do this in the 80s and the 90s as a magazine thing. It would be like, the cutest boys on Nickelodeon. Here's the series. We're going to do it all year, right? What if I did that? Okay, cool. I like this idea. Let's keep going. So over to Claude I go. And this is where things get really interesting. So I typed into Claude this exact prompt, and it's a terrible prompt because it just came out of my head. But I was like, hey, Claude, I'm doing some 2026 planning. My goal is to use my email list more fulsomely along with the podcast, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I want to start running email series as lead magnets, where each series is a thought leadership theme and consists of 4 to 5 emails in a row that I link together. I'd run maybe one per month, From this, the emails will become podcasts and the finer points become 7 to 10 minute YouTube episodes. I then promote it on LinkedIn. The goal is to reach my ICP who is in need of strategic comms advice and communication structure for their digital presence and growth. I want to start with 6 series I can write. I probably will only do 4. I want them to be insanely useful, provocative, and deep enough to carry 4 to 5 500 to 1,000 word emails and have enough meat on the bone that someone would want to opt in. Drawing from what you know about me, offer me multiple suggestions for what this could look like from a theme perspective. Now, here's the most important part. As I said, do not include nervous system or somatics in the hooks because my LinkedIn audience isn't ready for that. If you do, veil it in corporate language. It came up with some pretty decent ideas. Strategy First series, the strategic clarity tax, what unfocused communications costs you. I love this. Selling outcomes, not outputs, the communications restructure. 3 conversation company, simplifying your entire communication strategy. Love it. The next one would be why your thought leadership isn't working, the visibility to authority gap, the anti-algorithm approach, building presence that compounds based on slow freedom philosophies that I am espousing. From subject matter expert to strategic voice, the transition no one teaches you. This one being for consultants and founders who are brilliant at their work but struggle to articulate strategic value, how to make the leap from doing the work to leading the conversation. I love all of those ideas. So now what am I going to do? I am not going to sit down with my calendar yet. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to flesh those out, and I'm actually going to start writing those emails. The reason I'm going to write them, or writing that series, I'm going to start brain dumping on each of those, is so that I start to feel my leadership with those. I'm not going to let AI write them for me. I'm not going to sit down at the calendar and lock myself into those. I'm going to feel the energy of each of those ideas. None of those ideas is bad, actually, by the way. And then I'm going to feel, ooh, this one feels like yes. Okay. And as soon as I get one that feels like a yes, then I start writing those emails. And then I start asking myself, is the positioning correct? If it is, let's keep going. How am I going to actually say this in a way that makes them want to keep reading? What's the hook from email to email? Okay, cool. Now I have 1, maybe 2 series written out. I've written 5, 10 emails. They have no place. They don't live anywhere yet. They're in a Google Doc or a Notion board. They're not in my email server. They're not linked to the calendar. But I have created an asset for myself that is based on my leadership, my voice, something I can talk about with consistency and commitment. Now I go back to my calendar and I look at the year and I think, okay, behaviorally, what is happening with my audience right now? Well, in January, everybody's like, new year, new me. People are recommitted. LinkedIn's going to be filled with people who are going to say, I want to grow my LinkedIn audience from 1,000 people to 10,000 people in the next 90 days or whatever, right? So people are thinking about growth in January. People are thinking about goal setting in January. So which of those 2, 3 series that I just built out kind of fits with that? Let's plunk that in the calendar now loosely. Let's say we start running it the 2nd week of January. Cool. Now, for those of you who have been with me for a while, you know that then what I do is I go backwards and I go forwards. If I put it in the calendar, what do I need to have happen before that launches in order to get people into that launch? Well, I've got to start talking about that theme at least a couple, 2 to 3 weeks previous. I need to warm them up. I need to get them excited about it. I need to let them know that I have thoughts. You've heard me say this before. In the pre-sale period, which is what this is, because I'm selling them to get on my list, your audience doesn't actually care what you think. They actually care that you think. In the post-sale, they do care what you think. But leading in, you've just got to start sharing that you are thinking about that thing. That you are thinking about that thing. Then you share what you are thinking about that thing. Then you have them hooked and you tell them that you are thinking about another thing. And hopefully at that point, they're really into it, right? So you're constantly going from a that to a what, from a that to a what. Okay, cool. So that means the beginning of January, end of December, I got to start talking about this thing. Cool. Then I launch that email series. Cool. Now I've said I'm going to do podcasts around it. Cool. So now I look at this and I think, okay, which of these could I talk about at length for 20, 25, 30 minutes? Do I need to put more meat on the bone? Maybe. Let's go do some research. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to go research stuff and I'm going to pull other elements in. I'm going to find other thought leadership. I'm going to find other resources that I can quote, that I can build on. I'm going to embed that into those emails because they're not done yet. They're still drafts. They're in Google Docs. They're in Notion. They're not published. Okay, cool. Now I've built on this. Now I've got podcasts. I've got an email. Love. Now I'm going to go through that and think, what are my small bites? Small bites are things that solve small problems. Compounded, you eat an elephant. This is the YouTube strategy because YouTube is SEO. And I don't care what you say. I know we're talking about AI search, but the concept of eat from SEO still works with AI or AEO, right? The AI-enabled optimization. EAT meaning expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. You need to display these things. There are ways that you can start to structure your content so that you're optimizing EAT. Maybe we'll talk about that as we go through this. But your searchability content is still on YouTube. So there are things you want to start saying on YouTube. There are things you want to start saying on your blog to enhance the EAT. So now I'm looking at my long form email that is based on my thought leadership. It is the what I think. I have gone deep on the podcast, pulling in research to reinforce what I think, to offer additional bolstering, to increase my EAT. Because yes, transcripts and all those things get picked up by the machines. Then I've gone through it and I have found my small bites. So from each podcast episode, are there 2 to 3 small bites that I can turn into 7 to 10 minute videos that are the small bite, small solution, eat an elephant over time? All of a sudden, I have an engine. All that's left to do is figure out how to promote it. I know you're thinking that. And I think that too, because when I come face to face with clients, I'm not going to lie, they get really messed in the head about creating the content and promoting the thought. Those are 2 separate things. You need to have the thought and create the content in order to even understand the value prop to promote it, to get someone to actually pay attention to it. It is often twice the amount of work to do this than anybody actually anticipates. People think, okay, well, I'm just going to promote myself online and people are going to be like, cool, I want to work with you. But the problem is if you have no thoughts, you're not actually promoting anything. People are like, oh, they exist. But do they think? Do they think enough for me to actually pay them to do a thing? Well, I don't know. Or they go and create a thing like a book or an ebook or a resource or a lead magnet and it's full of thoughts, but then they don't think about, wait a minute, how am I going to promote this and get people to access my thoughts? You need both if you want to have growth. And truthfully, this is where I failed miserably with my own email list for the last little while because I was like, ooh, I have thoughts. I'm going to put them over here. And I don't know if the people want my thoughts. And I didn't do it right. I didn't put the time in. I was too busy trying to keep my production company afloat and making good and bad decisions. And you know this because I've told you this. So where are we now? Okay, cool. We have an engine. Now we need to put gasoline in it or electricity. I don't know, whatever you have. Okay. Now we're going to look at it and we're going to think, okay, what are the ways that we're going to get people hooked in to give us their email? Because that's what we want, to access the series. Now you build out a launch plan. You might have a couple graphics. When I say that, I can actually feel my mouth tense up. I hate the idea of graphics. I hate it. I hate it so much. I wish I could just write words and say words. I think this is also why Instagram gives me hives, because the whole platform is like, create a graphic. Like, oh my God, that is not my love language. That is not my love language. Fuck off with your graphics. Pardon me. If you're a graphic designer, I have so much respect for you, because like, I literally cannot. If I have to sit there in Canva and make a graphic, I don't know. It sucks my soul. So LinkedIn, what are you going to do? There's a couple things that I will do is I will promote it on the newsletter function on LinkedIn, which is super confusing because you also have like a newsletter opt-in. So the newsletter function on LinkedIn, you don't actually get their email, but they opt in on LinkedIn for a special notification from you for a special type of content on LinkedIn that is also searchable in Google. So I will do that to promote it, but I will also start posting. From a structural perspective, I will also go create, we used to call them splash pages. Some people call them landing pages on my website. I use Show It with a WordPress functionality, which I love. You can do this, I think, on Squarespace. I had 2 Squarespace sites in my life and gave up on Squarespace because I was so embedded with WordPress. So when I found Show It, I really liked it. Anyway, regardless, you can use lead pages. You can probably use Thrivecart, although I have found that their splash pages are incredibly buggy, and I don't know if that's just me. You're going to want to create a splash page for this particular email series with an opt-in to your list. Just structurally and functionally, then you're going to want to go into whatever email service you're using, whether that's, I use Kit, you can use ActiveCampaign. A lot of people I know use Flowdesk. Whatever you're using, and you want to create a sequence for that particular email, right? That is tagged. So the way that the function would be, I'm promoting this on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, okay? People are coming to the splash page that is yoururl.com/this email series. They're opting in to get the email series. It tags them. That tag triggers the email series to send to them. They get that email series over the course of 5 to 7 days, whatever it is, every day. Just like you said, you're going to say, I've written a 5-part series. Here you go. We're going to uncover this. Day 1's going to be this. Day 2's going to be this. Day 3. Tell them what you're going to give them. Okay. That can go on your splash page. And at the end of it, you do want to have some sort of call to action, because your goal is still to get clients. So throughout, you're giving them your email, you're sending them maybe to a podcast, you're sending them maybe to your YouTube channel, go deeper on this, go deeper on this. But for all of that content related to that series, your call to action is, come be my client. Come be my client. And then, because you've done the planning, you can tell them at the end of that series, they're already on your list. You don't have to re-invite them. You tell them, hey, next month, I'm going to be tackling how to whip buttercream so that it doesn't have sugar crystals in it if you're a baker, or whatever it is, right? We're going to do a 5-part series on how to bake a layer cake. We're going to do a 5-part series on how to grow pumpkins before Halloween or whatever, right? I grew pumpkins, and I actually bought the wrong kind of pumpkin. I thought I was getting big pumpkins this year. Sorry for the digression, but this is the cutest thing. I thought I was getting big giant pumpkins, but I bought like decorative pumpkins, and they grew these tiny little ones, and they were so cute. It almost made me cry. So yes, I probably would have opted into a how to grow a pumpkin thing, or a watermelon, or whatever. Super cute. Give me 5 emails. Show me how to do this. Could be 3 emails. Doesn't have to be 5. I'm saying 5. Pick your number. Don't go longer than that, because otherwise you will have massive drop off. And your 5th email better be like the biggest payoff. That's the other piece of advice, is make sure the biggest payoff is at the end. So typically that's something about how to make money. Save that one till the end, because people will hang on for money. They just will. Okay. All right. So I'm hoping you're starting to see this. Now what I'm going to do is refill my coffee cup, set up my camera and my whiteboard, and I'm going to go whiteboard this out for you over on the YouTube channel. I don't know when I'm going to get this posted. I'm hoping in the next couple weeks, but make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel because I'm pretty excited. I have like microscopic subscribers, microscopic views right now. I'm just releasing this to the gods and the energy to see what transpires. But this is how I got to check myself. I got to check myself and be like, wait a minute, where's the mask? The mask would have been me sitting here being like, I'm going to talk about 6 ways to a 6-figure company. Mask. Unmasked is me being like, I didn't know what to do today. So here's where my brain is. Maybe this is going to fail miserably. Maybe nothing will work. Maybe this is a terrible idea to use emails as a lead magnet. But I'm going to try until I have signals to the other side. I don't know until I know, and neither do you. So if you are stuck wearing multiple masks, ask yourself, what would Erin do? What would that crazy Erin do? She would do something until she knew it didn't work. And as soon as I know something does not work, I walk. That can be from a client, it can be from a project, it can be from a website, it can be from a team member, it can be from whatever. As soon as I know, you just need to cultivate that level of awareness. All right, thanks so much for listening to the Narrative Advantage podcast. I appreciate you so very much. Make sure you share, like, subscribe, review, all the things. I will be back in your earbuds next Thursday. Questions can go on the YouTube channel in the comments. Questions can come to me via Instagram DM. Yes, I still check the DMs. You can also connect with me over on LinkedIn, of course. I look forward to any and all feedback. See you next week.